See what's inside. Lay down your walls. Lay down your fears. Lean into love. You are welcome here. Maker of day, maker of night, feed me with song, let me be your light. Hine matov. Sept kulam gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim. Sept kulam gam yachad.
Song sheets, that song in the middle, that first page.
Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. I just want to mention that the service gets longer the less you sing along. So if you're, eager to get through Yom Kippur, I just suggest you just bring your voices with you to our services, and it'll move along much quicker, I promise. Let's give that a try. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Born and reborn again. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being a part of our family, of our community here for Yom Kippur, to bring in the last day of the 10 days of repentance, or the 40 days of return that started a month ago, plus 10 days. Again, we were in this room a little over a week ago for Rosh Hashanah, and we want to thank profusely the people here at Valencia United Methodist Church for hosting us again and for opening up a place that was full of people this morning for worship. And again, they made it so that we could come in today, and we're very grateful. And we're very grateful to the man who's helping us with sound again today. He was here pretty much all day. And Reverend Andy Maddock, if you didn't get to hear him as Tevye on stage at the Performing Arts Center, or last week right here, yeah, you missed something special. But he's really a wonderful guy, and hopefully you'll have a chance to meet him not during this day, but in the coming days. We're very grateful for his friendship and his leadership. And so here in this room, as we bring in Yom Kippur, and hopefully everyone has a machzor, one of the machzorim, and also you can share, hopefully, with somebody the song sheet. Some of the songs that we're going to be doing, some of the prayers are going to be off the song sheet as well. But again, as we come to this night, and Kol Nidre is kind of a mini part of the services and the special parts of Yom Kippur, but this one, of course, is one that people know so well. And if it is your first time, or your first time with us, we welcome you especially to be a part of this moment. So we're going to light the candles for Yom Kippur, for the holiday. And on page 68, you can see the blessing we're about to say. And we want to call up our president, Madam President, Joyce Stein, if you'd come up to light the candles for us, again on page 68 for Yom Tov. So now here in this moment, and we also, as you can see, we have a memorial candle burning as well for Yizkor, for remembrance for those who've passed. We also have memorial candles if people would like to take one home with them. We have memorial candles that you can take home and light in memory of all those of blessed memory in your family, in your community. And as we prepare for Kol Nidre, for a time for us to think about the promises that we've made to each other, to God, to ourselves. On page 69, as we get ready for this special moment, and we convene a court. We convene a court here in this world as it mirrors a court, the heavenly court that we're in front of this day as well. And so this is a court that is going to be established by our coming into the presence of the Torah, and we're going to ask for our past presidents to join us up here on the bema. So if we could have, we have Joyce up here now, and we would like John Stolman to come up, and Don Cogan, and Rosemary Watson, and I don't think I'm missing anyone right now who's here right now at this moment, but you'll see some people in the coming days too. But again, on page 69, this is the Kol Nidre prayers. Now, it's a tradition to do the Kol Nidre 3 times to show our kavanah, to show our intention. And the way we've done this over the years is to use different modes, different ways of communicating this prayer. In music, in poetry, with traditional text, which, by the way, is written in Hebrew, but it's actually Aramaic, the Aramaic formulation of the Kol Nidre prayer. The formula, this moment of asking for our vows not to be accounted on us. So we're going to have one playing of it that our own Wendy Hirsch is going to be playing on piano. So this is the instrumental version, if you will. And again, somebody was telling me, Alan Kivnick was telling me earlier today, he remembered last year, does anyone remember? Bassoon. And the year before, we had an electric guitar. We had Rich Tabak on electric guitar doing the Jimi Hendrix version of Kol Nidre. And we've had many instruments over the years, some string, woodwind. We've had a lot of different sounds. And today we're going to have a piano sound. And then we're going to have a poetry version of that. And then we're going to have the traditional text as well. Now, when we open the ark and we hold the Torahs, of course, this is a time to stand. But if you find it that you can't stand, that's okay too. We're not going to force anyone. You should not do anything that you can't feel that you can do, that you can stand as we do the Kol Nidre. But again, the tradition is when we open up the ark and we take out the Torah scrolls, we're going to ask everyone to rise. And again, we're going to continue now on page 69, this moment as we take part in Kol Nidre. And we ask you to rise as the ark is open. So do you want to hold?
I heard Kol Nidre on a grand piano tonight, played by a woman a friend of mine in Chicago refers to as a rocker chick. They should take all legal documents and set them to music. All vows, this legal document written in unholy language, a prenuptial agreement to our inevitable failing. This relationship with the year itself, a contract awaiting the biggest signature. Please cancel my subscription, but charge my card anyway. I don't deserve the content. Every promise I make, a guaranteed broken one between today and a year's worth of Jewish days from now. The next time the shofar is dusted off, we'll have this conversation again. Forgive me this year and last year and next. Forgive everyone who ever stood at the mountain. Forgive our promises, our oaths, our vows, all vows. You made the whole world, and on this day and every day, you knew this would happen. Pardon me. Please.
Kol Nidre ve'esarei ve'charamei ve'konomei ve'chinuyei ve'kinusei Ushevuot Dindarna Udeish Tabana Udeacharimna Vida Asarna Vida Asarna Nafshatana Miyom Kippurim ze Ad Yom Kippurim haba Shevitin V'telin V'utalin La sharerin V'la kayamim Nidrana La nidre Ve'esarana
Let's read in English together at the bottom of page 69. All vows, oaths, and promises which we made to God from last Yom Kippur to this Yom Kippur, and were not able to fulfill, may all such vows between ourselves and God be annulled. May they be void and of no effect. May we be absolved of them and released from them. May these vows not be considered vows, these oaths not be considered oaths, and these promises be considered promises. And for making it to this moment, to this time, we give thanks to God. We thank God for preserving us in life to this special moment. For Kol Nidre, for being able to be here for this moment of forgiveness. We turn back to page 68 at the bottom of the page for a Shehachianu. We thank God for, again, for this moment.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Standing, we're going to turn back in our Machzor to page 5 for the call to worship. We're going to stay standing for the nighttime prayer. You did it.
Bottom of page 1 of your song sheet. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Boreyon balayla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Boreyon balayla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, choshech mipnei or.
So in the evening, we say the prayer for the transition in time. And then we continue now with the prayer over love, Ahava, on page 6, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu liman לימדתה, אותנו לימדתה. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגי יומם בלילה, נגי יומם בלילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Now the theme of love continues on page 7 with Shema, prayer of oneness, and Ve'ahavta, to love God in return.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levacha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meotecha v'chayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha b'derech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha ug'shartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha ug'tabtam amezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
And as the last text came from the book of Dvarim, Deuteronomy, which is actually the book that we're studying in our Wednesday night class, our Wednesday evenings, we're finishing up this final 5th book of the Torah. And again, that's every Wednesday at 7, and you can join with us as we read through the Torah. This next section on page 8, Michamocha, comes much earlier from the book of Exodus. That's the Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea. And tonight, because it's still the high holidays, we're going to sing this song, which was originally, again, this text is a song. Like our portion that we read this last week in Deuteronomy, Ha'azinu, There's a lot of songs in the Torah itself, in the Bible, throughout the Bible. But this one we're going to sing in the High Holiday, Nusach, page 8, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh feleh, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la.
Section of the evening where we're going to be reading from the Amidah. And this is the last day that we're going to be reading the special insertions, the special readings for the Amidah that we've been doing throughout, not just Rosh Hashanah and on the holiday, but throughout the last 10 days we've been reading these special insertions during the Amidah. The prayers change at this time of year. But before we do that, and again tonight, especially on Yom Kippur, to think about the theme, bless you, of repentance and of return and of atonement, being at peace and being forgiven, we're going to turn back into the song sheets. On the second page is, towards the top, is song by cantor Jeff Klepper, Open Up Our Eyes. And I think we did this at Rosh Hashanah, didn't we? Or this Rosh Hashanah or last? I don't know.
Who
but
can
you
remember back that far?
You might remember
You might
it.
have done it.
And this helps us get into the frame of mind for the Amidah which follows.
Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one, and we will know that you are one. Please rise. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know
turn ahead to page 71 for the Amidah. And the page 71, the first part of the Amidah, we're going to chant out loud, and then we're going to continue silently from pages 72 to 75 for the Yom Kippur special Amidah. So on page 71, we begin the Amidah for Yom Kippur.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'nehen, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava.
Zochreinu lecha chayim, melech hafetz b'chayim, v'chol
Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Rav leHoshia. Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim. Somech Noflim Verofech Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar. Micha mocha bal gevurot, umidom elach, melech meimit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua.
Micha mocha av harachamim, socher yetzurav lechayim berachamim.
Ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol.
75. Please be seated when you're done with your private tefillah.
ספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה ניזכר וניכתב לפניך אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
Peace and prosperity. May we and all your people, the house of Israel, be inscribed for a good and peaceful life. Praised are you, O Lord, the source of peace. And we're going to continue with a special song of prayer for peace and lots of good things. You can find back in your song sheet on page 2 towards the middle of the page.
If you're gonna sing, what you gonna sing about? Scream it out. If you're gonna sing, what you gonna sing about? Scream it out loud. Sing it out now. That's your part, sing it really loud. If you're gonna sing, what you gonna sing about? Scream it out. If you're gonna sing, what you gonna sing about? Scream it out loud. Sing it out now. Sing about peace, how it can't exist without justice.
Zoom out.
It's just us.
Zoom out.
It's just us. Sing about peace, how it can't exist without justice.
Zoom out.
It's just us.
Zoom out.
It's just us. If you're gonna sing, what you gonna sing about? Scream it out. If you're gonna sing, what you gonna sing about? Scream it out loud. Sing it out now. Sing about wealth, how the few can steal from the many. But we worship Him anyways. We worship Him anyways. Sing about wealth, how the few can steal from the many. But we worship Him anyways. We worship Him anyways. If you're gonna sing, if you're gonna sing, what you gonna sing about? Scream it out. If you're gonna sing, what you gonna sing about? Scream it out loud. Sing it out now. Sing about earth, how we can't keep robbing our children. Just one for the billions. Just one for the billions. Sing about earth, how we can't keep robbing our children. Just one for the billions. Just one for the billions. Let's hear it. If you're gonna sing, what you gonna sing about? Scream it out. If you're gonna sing, what you gonna sing about? Scream it out loud. Sing it out now. Sing about love, how you can't pour from an empty cup.
Let's fill it up. Let's fill it up.
Sing about love, how you can't pour from an empty cup. Let's fill it up.
Let's fill it up.
Sing it out. If you're gonna sing, what you gonna sing about? Scream it out. If you're gonna sing, what you gonna sing about? Scream it out loud. Sing it out loud. Scream it out loud. Sing it out loud.
If you turn with us to page 76, we're going to, towards the bottom of the page, take a moment now to pray for those in need of healing, for our own strength and courage as we care for those in our world, in our family, in our community that need our strength to lean on. And so the melody, the composition that Debbie Friedman wrote, that lots of congregations around the world, and we're joining with them in praying for refuah, now with Misha Baruch, again on page 76.
I should mention, Debbie really wanted you to know that healing is also for you. It's not just for people with something physically broken, though it's certainly for that. It's also for you. If you are a person who needs any kind of healing, spiritual, just a little bit of sadness in you that needs healing, then this is for you, and you should receive this as well as offer it to the people around you. Mi sheberach avoteinu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
So I have some very good news for you tonight. Some special things that you should know. One of them is, here it is, tonight, starting tonight, and over the next 24 hours or so, the devil has no power over you. Now, you didn't expect me to tell you that, right? Especially here in church right now, but I will tell you, before you get too excited, you need to first understand what role Satan has in Jewish tradition. First off, in our tradition, he's not a super powerful force of malevolence that he is in other traditions or that you see in the movies, and people just got another exorcism movie coming out, an exorcist movie. I mean, you know, people like original exorcist movie, but people love that stuff. But in our tradition, especially in the Bible, Satan really doesn't have any major role to play. Later on in apocalyptic Judaism, and of course in Christianity, the devil has a big role to play. But that's because, as everyone knows, in a great story, in order to have an awesome hero, you have to have a really powerful villain. So you have a Christ and an Antichrist. But in Jewish sources, Satan is originally and primarily the accuser or the adversary, which is what Satan literally means in Hebrew. Maybe occasionally putting some temptations, some challenges in your path, but not with too much power. And again, only power if you look at the one narrative we get in the Bible about Satan in the book of Job, only with God's permission. So Satan is not really evil per se. More like the Lee Grant character in Defending Your Life, one of my favorite movies. If you remember that Albert Brooks movie, he's on trial in the afterlife, and Lee Grant is the prosecuting attorney, pointing out all his flaws, making the case why he shouldn't advance to the next life. And so while we don't like Satan is really just doing a job that God gave him or her to do. And so the devil in our tradition is an attorney, which you always knew anyways. But it explains why we use the term, even to this day, devil's advocate. And Jewish legend has it that today, Yom Kippur, Satan is so busy in court prosecuting each and every one of us before God that he isn't putting challenges and new opportunities for falling in front of you. And by falling, I mean, making mistakes. There's a story, one of our Hasidic sages, Reb Levi Yitzhak of Berdechev, he told a story of a young man who, to the embarrassment of his family, went off in a bad direction. He became a criminal, pickpocket, stealing from neighbors, robbing people, showing no respect for the law or for personal property. And the young man died shortly before Rosh Hashanah. And he would be going to the bad place. And that's what we call it, really, in Judaism. And it was a punishment for the life that he had led. And when he arrived at Gehenna, as we call it, in the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the first thing he saw was Satan putting the finishing touches on the file he was preparing to present to God on Yom Kippur, detailing all the sins of the Jews throughout the world, every lie, every act of deceit, of cruelty. It was a long and embarrassing document, and Satan was prepared to use it to convince God to inscribe all those less than perfect Jews for not good stuff. And at that point, the thief realized that this was the moment for which his entire life had been prepared. Just this moment. While Satan's back was turned, he picked Satan's pocket. He stole the dossier, and he threw it into the fires of purgatory, destroying all the evidence. At that moment, a band of angels flew down to Gehenna and took him back up to heaven. That story can be found in a book that came out a few years ago called The Holy Thief. And it's an autobiography of a man who is one of the most unusual rabbis in America. And he's local here in Los Angeles, Rabbi Mark Borovitz. He spent much of his life either committing crimes or going to prison for his crimes before a prison rabbi got through to him and put him on a path that ultimately led him to rabbinical school. And for the last 40 years, he helped run a combination synagogue and halfway house for people who were trying to get their lives together. It's called Beit Teshuvah. And some of you know it. Some of you have family whose lives have been transformed by it. Now, Mark Borovitz was a 14-year-old boy in Cleveland when his father died, and his family had no way to pay the bills. And a family friend put him in touch with the Cleveland Mafia, which you know about, Steve, right? It's from Cleveland. He's not in the Cleveland Mafia. But he started stealing electronics for them. And by his junior year in high school, he was spending his evenings serving as the president of his USY chapter and his afternoons earning $500 a week selling hijacked boom boxes and television sets to his classmates. After high school, he branched out into stealing and forging checks. On a couple occasions, he went into business selling cars and did not hesitate to cheat his partners as readily as he cheated his customers. He went to prison several times, and at one point between the sentences, he got married and had a daughter. But no matter how often he promised his family that he was going to stop, he kept going back to a life of crime until finally a prison chaplain was able to get through to him. Why does a person live like that? At some level, they know it's a virtual certainty that sooner or later they will be caught and go to prison. They know they're hurting their family. They keep promising that they'll change, but don't. There's one heartbreaking scene in the book where Borowitz's then 14-year-old daughter pleads with him not to do anything that would send him back to prison again. And he swears to her that he won't. And then that same afternoon, he takes the money out of her college savings account to finance his gambling. Now, if he's clever enough to think of these elaborate schemes in the first place, he's probably clever enough to make a good living honestly, without the embarrassment and the prison time. So why does he keep doing it? Well, they recently made a movie about Mark as well. It came out about 2 years ago, and still finding distribution, but it's called The Jewish Jail Lady and the Holy Thief, and it's about not only Mark, but his wife, Harriet Rossetto, who started Beit Teshuvah and who ran it with him for many, many decades. And in the movie, Borowitz says that it's, again, quote, "It's really simple. When there's a fundamental emptiness inside you, there is something exhilarating about being able to say, the rules don't apply to me." And that explains why there's a teenage girl who shoplifts even though she can afford to buy what she steals 10 times over. It explains the man or woman who acquires a drug habit even though they don't really enjoy it and it takes all their money, but they love the feeling of doing something forbidden. It explains the husband who cheats on his wife. It's their way of quieting the nagging voice inside them that says to them, "You're nobody special," by letting them say, "I am special. The rules that apply to other people don't apply to me." And even those with tremendous power and apparent self-esteem fall into that same trap. Some celebrities mask their own lack of self-esteem by setting themselves apart. Rosie O'Donnell wrote in her book Celebrity Detox that she and others develop an addiction to the feeling of entitlement. She says, "It is a shift that happens in the head and that very few celebrities will ever really speak about. One begins to believe in the specialness, and a dangerous sense of entitlement takes over. When celebrity addiction starts, you become impatient with and even angry at necessary obstacles. You think you could run a red light or two, and then you do." We read in the Bible that King David, with a house overflowing with wives and concubines, covets the wife of one of his soldiers. It's not the money, and it's not the sex. It's the satisfying feeling of being able to say, the rules don't apply to me. And you know what he did to Uriah? He had him killed, and he took his wife, Bathsheba, and made him his wife and had a baby named Solomon. And so it shouldn't surprise us when our own political leaders behave the same way. It's just a question of whether we've gotten acceptance of that, whether we're no longer going to hold them accountable. Satan was getting desperate. Things weren't going well down there, and he needed to raise productivity. So he called a meeting of his staff, and he said to them, "We're doing very badly this year. The number of sins that people commit is way down. What are we going to do to get that level up?" He gave his demons 24 hours to come back with some answers. When they reconvened, one of the demons said, "My technique is that I try to tell people there's no God, and therefore they don't need to keep the Torah or do mitzvot. But it doesn't work. People aren't that stupid. They look around and see how magnificent, how complex the world is, and they realize there must be a God, and so I fail." The second demon said, "My strategy is I tell people there is a God, but the Torah is not holy, and therefore they don't have to keep the Torah and the mitzvahs. But it doesn't work because people aren't that stupid. They look into the Torah and they see how wise and understanding it is, and they realize that it's holy, and so I fail." The third demon said, "My strategy, and I find it very effective, is I tell people there's a God, and I tell people the Torah is indeed holy. But I say to them, the laws don't apply to you. They're for everybody else. And that works." Now we have to ask ourselves, would keeping kosher, keeping Shabbat, really have helped Donald Trump or Bill Clinton? Be bipartisan on this. There are many instances of people who keep kosher and who violate ethical standards in other areas. But think of this. I can imagine that every one of us will come to a moment in life when your future happiness will depend on saying no to temptation. It may be a lucrative deal that's also a little shady. It may be an illicit sexual involvement. Whatever the circumstance, you'll know it's wrong. You'll know it has the potential to seriously mess up your life. But it will be very tempting. Now, if this is the first time in your life that you have to say no to something, no to a temptation, what are the chances that you'll get it right the first time with all this writing on it? And what are the chances that you'll give in to the attraction of placing yourself above the rules? But if you've been practicing your life, saying no to tempting things, if you've been doing things to make yourself strong in the behavioral sphere, the way people who go to the gym lift weights to make themselves strong physically, a process, incidentally, that we call resistance training, doesn't that improve your chances of saying no, of getting it right? It's what we call discipline. You know, one of the reasons, and I got my daughters here sitting in the front row, one of the reasons that they were raised to be kosher vegetarians was so that they would know some boundaries, so that they would live by rules that would help guide their actions and make them stop and think. So that they've had a little practice saying no to certain things. Now, if God forbid one day they should eat a cheeseburger, that should be the worst decision they make. And I'll tell you, years out of our house now, they still have the ability to say no. Now, that being said, the rules that we have should have some common sense behind them. They should be understood. For example, there's other logical, ethical, environmental, spiritual reasons we're vegetarian. And our children know the rules that they live by make sense. We don't simply say no. Unfortunately, many of our parents and grandparents, many of us were raised by people who didn't explain the rules of Judaism further than saying, we don't do it. And that was the end of it. And this response was all it took for thousands of years of beautiful Jewish tradition, meaningful rituals, to be lost. Which brings us back to the devil, to Satan. There is one place that he is very noticeably absent, and that's in the Garden of Eden story. In Genesis, in the Torah, it's God, Adam, Eve, and a serpent. Now, a serpent that originally had legs and could talk to humans, but so could all the animals. We just don't understand them anymore. The serpent in Genesis, while being obviously different from your backyard garter variety, is clearly not the devil. As a matter of fact, the name Satan does not appear anywhere in the first 5 books in the Torah. Now, Adam and Eve in the garden had only 2 commandments, 2 rules. One positive, be fruitful, multiply, and the other negative, don't eat of the tree of knowledge. Now, as we all know, Adam and Eve couldn't keep their hands off that fruit. They broke the rule, and as a result of what they did, their descendants, all of us, are understood to be people who would have trouble with self-control. People who could not be counted on to play by the rules. People who will cheat if that's what we have to do to win. People who could not reliably say no to temptation. God commands the people to be holy. And part of that holiness still involves what we eat and what we don't eat. God is challenging us to atone for the sin of Adam and Eve, who could not say no to temptation. God is challenging us to redeem the world by practicing self-control, by saying no to some things. This is the essence of holiness. When we fast on Yom Kippur, when we come out of this day with a new resolve to live by Jewish standards, we atone for the original mistake and make this truly a day of atonement. Now, this is a fascinating contrast to other theologies, which read the Eden story a little differently. Now, some traditions say that human beings are unable to resist temptation, unable to say no to what they know is wrong. We've estranged ourselves from God, and the only way to bridge this was through a supreme sacrifice, one which can't be done by us, by flawed human beings. We can't bridge that gap by our own efforts. Now, Judaism also says that human beings are unable to resist temptation, unable to say no to what they know is wrong. We're also distanced from God. But the solution is different. In our understanding, God says to us, you broke it, you fix it, show me by acts of self-restraint in your eating, in your speech, in your sexual behavior, in the way you earn and spend money. Show me that you've grown up and have learned to say no. Now sit on that for a moment. That's the audaciousness of Judaism. It's saying that when we take the rules seriously, when we take our own lives seriously, we redeem the world from brokenness. It's not just a matter of being good Jews or doing what's pleasing to God. It's not even really a matter of personal morality. It's a challenge to us by our behavior to repair that breach between God and the entire human race. In Jewish theology, and you've heard this word, tikkun olam, it means fixing what is broken in the world. And what is broken in the world is not just economic oppression. What's broken in the world is not just the difficulty people have seeing themselves as human beings who are worthy of this, because it's much deeper. It starts with us. We think of tikkun olam as just helping the homeless or raising money for the Red Cross. Tikkun olam literally means repairing the world. It means undoing the sin of Adam and Eve by becoming models of self-restraint, as well as models of caring and generosity. Self-restraint in the way we behave, not just for your sake, but for the world's sake. And it's this Jewish belief and personal responsibility that our actions matter. And what is Yom Kippur if not a celebration of our ability to say no to things that tempt us the other 364 days of the year? And by saying no, we become stronger and holier people. The really superior athlete enjoys the feeling of being able to win without cheating, without juicing up. It's the athlete who is afraid he's not good enough, who feels he has to cheat to compete. The really good student takes pleasure in doing her homework herself without having to cheat off a friend. And the person who takes Yom Kippur seriously enough to do it emerges at nightfall, tomorrow night, feeling cleansed and strengthened, with a new appreciation of his or her power. Tonight we can say, I remember how strong I can be. Our lives are often a mess because we've forgotten the importance of holiness, because we've forgotten that the essence of holiness, from the way we conduct ourselves in business to the type of food we can choose to eat as we break fast tomorrow, the essence of holiness, of genuine tikkun olam, is saying no to things that tempt us. Tonight, all of you have said tonight, by your presence here, that the rules do apply. That today, I choose to live by rules. I could have been somewhere else tonight, but I'm here. My friends, our world is starved for holiness. It's hard to find the sacred in a world deprived of self-restraint. But we, the people who first taught the world what it means to be a holy people, we have the power and we have the sacred obligation to make the world whole again. May this coming year see us all blessed with life, with health, with material success. And more than anything else, for our sakes and for the world's sake, may this coming year, may we see all of us blessed with lives of holiness. And may we go into our fasting for the next 24 hours. Mar Chatima Tovam, may it be a meaningful and holy fast. And may we all be sealed for a good and blessed new year, filled with holiness, for us and for all those who we love. Amen. So, tonight, as we practice that self-restraint and a little bit of holiness and a little bit of atonement now, we're going to finish up with the confessional prayers, outline a little bit of where we've fallen short. And we're going to begin on page 79. We're going to open up the Ark, the Aron, give everyone a chance. Again, if you're not able to stand, so please don't if you can't. But for the beginning of these prayers, we're going to begin with Shema Kolenu on page 79. Again, we will rise as the Ark is open.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus berachem aleinu Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus berachem aleinu Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus
we turn to page 81 for the Ashamnu confessional. Our God and God of our ancestors, may our prayers come before you. May you not ignore our pleas. We are neither so arrogant nor so stubborn as to declare that we are righteous and have not sinned, for indeed we have sinned. Ashamnu. Again, so that we make sure we understand what we just read, we'll read it in English at the middle of the page on page 81. Read together. We have trespassed. We have dealt treacherously. We have robbed. We have spoken slander. We have acted
Perversely. We have done wrong. We have acted presumptuously. We have done violence. We have practiced deceit. We have counseled evil. We have spoken falsehood. We have scoffed. We have revolted. We have blasphemed. We have rebelled. We have committed iniquity. We have transgressed. We have oppressed. We have been stiff-necked. We have acted wickedly. We've dealt corruptly. We've committed abomination. We've gone astray. We have led others astray.
As we're going to continue now with the Al-Chet confessional, which you can find on the next page, on page 82, Al-Chet Shechatanu. For the sins that we've committed, O God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו. ועל כולם
ועל כולם אלוה סליחות. סלח לנו מחלנו כפר לנו ועל כולם אלוה סליחות. סלח לנו מחלנו כפר לנו.
82 and 83, you can take a moment to read. There's the traditional Al-Chet on page 82, and on 83, a more contemporary translation and understanding of it. But take a moment to do personal Al-Chet, silent Al-Chet, as we continue. As we continue on page 84. Hear us, pity us, spare us. Again, tonight on Yom Kippur, bring us atonement.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu v'anenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu v'anenu, ki ein banu masi. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'oshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu v'anenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu v'anenu, ki ein banu masi.
Please be seated, everyone. I'm going to share it now. Let's share an apology. So I have a tradition to share apologies every year. Usually they're not good apologies, and we learn from them. This one, people probably thought, how am I going to incorporate this in there? But because you knew I would. But it happened a year ago, and so a lot of people are like, did that even happen this year? And it did. Of course, I'm talking about what happened in October with Kanye. So that was this year, at least this year on the Jewish calendar. It happened. I couldn't have talked about it last year because nobody could have imagined what happened in October, because it just kept getting weirder and weirder and weirder. And we literally saw this unfold in the media for well over basically a month. And it just was amazing to see somebody who had accumulated so much success and so much fame lose almost everything. And it was pretty amazing. Part of the kind of the height of that was the whole ordeal with Adidas, which a lot of people found amazing, that a company that was started by Nazis had to disassociate themselves with somebody who went a little too far, right? So even they were a little not too sure what to do with it. And so they got stuck with about $1 billion worth of inventory, which they're still trying to figure out how to get rid of. And so I noticed that the new head of Adidas came out recently and said that he doesn't really believe that Kanye is anti-Semitic, and that he was little misunderstood. Again, I mean, it actually still continues to unfold. But what was weird about it as it was happening is everyone assumed that at some point he was going to apologize, that he was going to make some kind of speech and kind of like say that he was going through a mental crisis or something was happening, and that he would just come out and at some point, and somebody was going to grab him and say, you got to apologize. And I'm sure there were a lot of people who tried, but it didn't happen. And so that went on, and just the apology never came. But it did actually, in a weird way, come just a few months ago. Actually, it was about 6 months after this whole thing happened. Some of you probably forgot about the whole thing, and so you didn't even hear this. But this isn't really an apology, so let me just share with you what happened. So this is really what happened. In March, it did make the news, so I can tell you can look this up, because you're not going to believe it if you haven't heard it. But this is what happened. So Kanye was watching 21 Jump Street. And this is what he said. This is the apology, kind of. Watching Jonah Hill in 21 Jump Street made me like Jewish people again. So he said, no one should take anger against one or two individuals and transform that into hatred towards millions of innocent people. So I think that was his apology. And then he went on to say, no Christian can be labeled an anti-Semite knowing Jesus is Jew. Thank you, Jonah Hill, I love you. That was my effect. I'm sure he said it something like that. But I just thought I'd share that with you, not so much because we can learn anything from that. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe we all can. That Jonah Hill is the cure to anti-Semitism. Did not know that. Did not know. But, Hamas and Hezbollah, we can just get them to watch. Maybe it's 21 Jump Street. Maybe they have to watch maybe 22 Jump Street. It's pretty funny, too. White Aryans, any of these people, we can just make them watch Jonah Hill, and they'll like us again. That really happened. And, again, it was one of the more unusual things that we've seen with anti-Semitism in our country over the year. But, again, there were real consequences, and people really did. We all saw an uptick in anti-Semitism, which is why we placed out the blue squares that Robert Kraft has spearheaded this movement towards combating anti-Semitism in the world that he's involved with Israel, and with advocating on behalf of the Jewish community that he's been doing for years with the Patriots. And again, it's good that the NFL, and he's been running commercials and lots of things that he's subsidized. So it's a real issue. And of course, we saw in our own community just last week, as unfortunately Congregation Beth Shalom was shut by people who wanted to affect the Jewish community on one of the holiest days, one of the biggest days. So this is real. It's not funny, but we live in this world that sometimes seems, again, almost unbelievable. And again, while that's not really an apology, we hope and pray that repentance, teshuvah, will come from those who are the source of this. But in the meantime, we're protecting ourselves, and that's why, just so you know, we have increased security here. Even at this beautiful church location, we've increased security this week as well for all of us here. So we want you to know that too. We're going to finish up with the last few prayers we have today. And on page 16, we come to the prayer Aleinu. And again, tomorrow, when we do the Aleinu, what we call the Great Aleinu, we're actually going to go down to a full bowing. But tonight, we're not going to do that. We're going to save that for tomorrow if you want to do that. But this prayer, again, it reminds us, especially to be in a sense of humility. It's one of the prayers, of course, that we bow, we bend our knee, whether, again, we go to a full bowing. At this time of year, we really have that sense of humility. So, Aleinu, we're going to ask you to rise again, if you can, for Aleinu on page 16. Page 16.
Aleinu leshabech la'adon ha'kol, la'teit gedula le'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kogoye haratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
As we turn to page 17 for the Mourner's Kaddish, again during this time of Yizkor, of remembrance, we have our memorial candle burning as we're remembering all of our loved ones of blessed memory. Tomorrow, when we have our Yizkor prayers towards the end of gathering here tomorrow, we'll have a chance to reflect on the people that we love, of blessed memory. We also, as I mentioned, have memorial candles if you want to take one home and light a Yizkor candle tonight as well. You can do that. But now as we come to page 17, we say Kaddish. We thank God for the lives of these special people and for our ability that we have to remember them in love. Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon uv'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. V'agalau v'zman kari v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata. Da'ami ran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlam araba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Usei shalom b'imamav. Huya asei shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say together, amen. Amen. Please be seated, everyone. Rick and Addie, thank you for setting a beautiful tone for Yom Kippur, which again is a time for holiness, a time for thinking about what's most important, how we're going to get through not the day, but the rest of the year in front of us, and giving us lots to be inspired by. And again, we want to thank the people here at Valencia United Methodist, again, Reverend Andy, so much for hosting us again and for being this home for us over these last couple of years for so many things. And I had the pleasure, as I've spoken before, to travel with some of the congregation here this last year to Israel, and we're hoping we'll do a trip with Reverend Andy coming up too in the coming years. But we there's some wonderful people here, and again, people who we helped get Family Promise off the ground. Those folks were based here. They're members of this community, and some just amazing people. So we want to thank you again, especially again on Sunday, to be able to turn over this place for us. Thank you. And so tomorrow we'll be back here at 10 a.m. We also want to remind people, if you can, to bring some food, some non-perishable, whatever the food that you put on shelves, the non-perishable kind. Put it in a bag and bring it here so that we can give it to the SEV food pantry, which we do every year. So again, some people did that today, and if you do that tomorrow. It's a very important drive for them, and so we'll be bringing that food over tomorrow, so please do that. We also want to thank all of our board who helped get us ready for this day, and some of them are here tonight, some of them will be here tonight, and hopefully tomorrow too. And again, thanks to all the former board members who've been here. One of the things that's really been an amazing help to us has been Randy Miller, who's been helping us as our secretary for our board, but also getting all the names together for the Yisker book. If you see names that aren't in the book this year, they're actually, it's already up online, but if you'll, when you're here tomorrow, please, if there's a name missing, please let us know for the future to make sure that it's included. It's not an easy thing to do, and Randy has stepped up to take on that very important mitzvah to help keep track of that. So we'll be having the Yisker service again tomorrow, a chance for us to remember. And again, our memorial plaques and all that information now is also really easy to access online. I also want to thank all those people from the Fetch It and Schlepp It crew who brought everything over yesterday, today helping reset it, but last week bringing the stuff over. So thank you, all of you. And many of you were also, who are helping to do that, also helped today get our sukkah up. Our sukkah is up today. We had to get it up today because this is the only Sunday, the only weekend before Sukkot, which is next weekend. This weekend coming up, this Friday and Saturday. Rick and Eddie are going to be there singing in our sukkah and getting us into the next holiday, into Sukkot. So that's Friday night. We're going to have our celebration at 7 p.m. We're going to have a chance to be in the sukkah. And this is a really special thing for us. So they helped us get that sukkah up today. This was like a perfect storm because we had Yom Kippur set up, we had Sukkot set up, we had everything today, and we got it all done. And so we really thank all those people who volunteered over the last couple weeks to do that. So we also really want to thank Michael, who's unfortunately not going to be there next weekend, but he's always there. And he's set it up now with Alan so that Alan can run the sound and the video so that we can stream from the Sukkah, which is also just an amazing technological advance that we have cameras in the Sukkah. So we also want to thank Michael because he just had on his own, through his own generosity, had new cameras, security cameras installed at the synagogue, 6 new cameras that were installed there. That Michael not only donated it, but he also installed it himself. So thank you, Michael, so much for helping out and doing so much. We also want to thank the sisterhood who sponsored and took care of the oneg, but it was actually sponsored, and the money for that oneg was donated by our own Rita Rafat. Now, Rita, I don't think is here tonight, but she was here with us last week for Rosh Hashanah. And Rita, Rita originally is from Egypt, and her story is an amazing story, but she sponsored the oneg last week for Rosh Hashanah. We want to thank Rita for her generosity for doing that. She's an amazing lady. So we also want to tell people and remind people that in addition to what our sisterhood normally does, they have a couple events coming up. One of them is going to be next week. They're having mahjong in our sukkah, right? It's a drag bingo mahjong all together. No, it's not. It is going on the. No, it's not. So that's going to be our special mahjong. Is going to be, what day is that, Trace? Thursday night, and that's open to the sisterhood and anyone who wants to join, for mahjong. But that's just for women, though, who want to play mahjong. Oh, really? Men are allowed to come. Okay. So, all right, there you go. And then we have our wine and cheese event in the sukkah, which is also invited. We invite everyone who's over 21 to come to the wine and cheese in the sukkah, which is next Saturday night. So there's going to be some events at the temple sukkah. There's some events in at our house sukkah. But most importantly, all that information is up online. You can get all that information, including the information that I shared with you last week about our birthright trip. So we posted that information last week. We have about 30 people that already signed up for birthright. There's 42 spots. So my guess is that it's going to be filled up. So we don't know for sure, and again, some people may not might not go through it, but if you are interested in going on our Santa Clarita-based birthright, which is primarily, again, for 22 to 26-year-olds, please do that as soon as you can. So again, it might be over 30 as of today. I didn't really check today, but it was I think over 30 Friday, so yeah, it must be. Anyways, we're going to finish up, and we're going to remind people that we're not really stopping our prayers. Our Yom Kippur, we don't really have an end, so there's not like the end of the service or end of this moment, because it really carries with us for the next 24 hours or so. And we hope that it's a meaningful day. It's a day that gives you strength, even as we push ourselves, make our lives a little bit more challenging, intentionally to make our lives a little bit more holy. So we're going to finish up with Oseh Shalom. And this is the way, technically, the last prayer we said, the Kaddish, ends with an Oseh Shalom, a prayer for peace, but I think a lot of people know.
That's where we got the idea to do the song now. I just want to be clear. On the 30th at your house, we can just go have wine and cheese, and there's no charge for that. There's like free wine and cheese at your house on the 30th.
It's wine and cheese. I mean, don't get so excited. It's not like there's...
Great. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Uya Oseh Shalom Aleinu. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Uya Oseh Shalom Aleinu. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Uya Oseh Shalom Aleinu. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Uya Oseh Shalom Aleinu. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Uya Oseh Shalom Aleinu. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Uya Oseh Shalom Aleinu. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Let's hear it. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. See you tomorrow. Same seats, I call it.
So, 10 o'clock, we are here, and then if you're, for whatever reason, remember the next service after that is 5 o'clock back at Temple Beth Ami for reading Jonah and for Ne'ilah, for the last sounds of the high holidays. After that, we have a break fast that is being brought to you by Neely's Skillet. So Neely's Skillet there's no fee, there's no charge for that either, by the way, for a break fast. So if you want to come, we're not going to tell you what time food is at, because you actually have to come to the service before to know. It's roughly 7, I don't know. So anyways, but when the fast is over, we're going to be doing it together again like we did last year. So again, we wish everyone at Tzom Kol a meaningful day ahead. And Gamar Chatima Tova, may you be sealed the book of life for goodness. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you mañana. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Pa 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 pa, pa 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 pa, pa 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 dam, pa 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 dam.